Welcome back to round 12 of Ausmerican Aces. A shorter round this week because Origin is on its way. I'm Renee Gartner and I'm joined by Aaron Woods and Ash Wicks as well too. Welcome, gents.
Hello.
It's excitement week.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm pumped.
I think
You
this
are?
shows
I
my
cannot wait.
excitement.
Yeah, exactly.
Look
Well,
at
I've
the
got
nipples,
mine
he's
here.
excited.
I haven't. That's because it's cold in here. I haven't taken it off. I haven't taken it off since last year. So
How was your weekend before we jump into the main part?
Yeah, weekend was just couldn't wait to the Monday announcement or Sunday night announcement
Yeah.
for New South Wales and Monday for Queensland. I don't really care about, but honestly, I can't wait. The only thing is, I've got to wait another couple more sleeps
I know.
till Wednesday. Next Wednesday.
Well, it's one slate for me because I'm an insomniac. So.
But it's all
lucky
like,
you.
don't you just love like the story, the headlines that are coming?
Oh,
Like,
I love
you
it.
watch later in the week, there's going to be a flu that just sweeps across the Queensland state.
The game.
A couple of players will get sick. God knows if they'll be right for the game on Wednesday.
Oh, they've already got the underdogs tag because so many of them injured. Like the injuries are pretty decent. Tom Gilbert, pec, Selwyn Cobbo, wrist, Murray Tuolungi, calf. Also Reece Walsh, which we knew about, was a knee. So injury ridden.
And Billy has come out and made some statements.
Already.
Queensland picked them or something. Oh, who cares?
No, yeah.
So
they
did they
don't
pick-
pick Queensland. Queensland picks themselves.
So I understand exactly why half of New Zealand go for Queensland now. It's because they were picked
Isn't
by
it great?
Queensland.
Like Rob Toia was born in New Zealand.
KP
Callum Pong
of
was born
Perth.
in WA. It's just a loving stuff.
Who was the player born in Orange? I think it was someone else.
Is
GI, wasn't it?
Oh, no. He was born in Maxwell.
Yeah. I think it's funny, like, Queensland picks you and all of Melbourne are like, yeah, it does.
Coates?
It does pick us.
Papua New Guinean to play for Papua
Yes,
New Guinea.
true. One guest we're bringing back as well too, Brent Tate. He's our man in Queensland, our correspondent. Welcome, Tatey.
Yeah, thank you. It's a good time of year. Teams are out. Let's go. Not far away.
Tate's missing something this
Oh,
week.
he is, and I'm very happy
going
to see
on?
it's missing.
You also said
Yeah.
delightful to a
I see
Queenslander.
some
What's
blue
going
jerseys
on?
in there. So next week I'll be donning the maroon again for sure.
Have you thrown it because you were disappointed that the team wasn't identical to the way you listed it?
Oh, look, no. Look, some injury concerns and some outs has obviously forced some changes, but no, I like the team. It's good. I'm happy with it.
There's obviously a debutant in the team with the Queensland, and we'll jump into that. But what was it like for you? Do you remember getting that first phone call when you got called up for Origin?
Yeah, I do. It was just pure excitement. My first week in camp, actually, I'd only played 14 NRL games, and so not too dissimilar to Robert Toia in his, I guess, elevation into the side. But I just remember being so excited the whole week, not being nervous. And it wasn't until when I actually ran onto the field that I actually sort of got the nerves and almost shit myself a little bit in and around the enormity of what was unfolding. So, yeah, the phone call, the whole week, just, you'd go to training, there'd be a whole heap of people watching you. You're wearing the Queensland training gear and you're trying on the jersey for the photos. It was just such a surreal moment. So I could understand what Robert Toia is going through at the moment and his emotions. It'd be so much fun. I'm so stoked for him.
And Tatey, a lot of us, we pick our 1 to 17 for whether it's your state you're from, New South Wales, Queensland. I don't think anyone had Toia in their plans to be in their 17 for their Queensland squad. Is this one of the biggest shock balters you've seen in the history of the Origin?
Yeah, I think it's definitely up there. You're right. I don't think anyone sort of had him penciled in. I mean, we always thought he had the talent. He was always going to be a future Maroon, but to think that he's after 10 games, he's going to be thrust into the biggest arena you could get, and he's got a hell of a job to do up against one of the great centres in Latrell. But look, obviously some injuries over the weekend have probably forced Queensland hand and probably had to rush him in a little bit. But mate, he seems like a really good kid. I love how Billy's backed him and is just giving him absolute faith in his ability. And the thing that I love about this kid as well is he's had to, at 20 years of age, he's had to come back from 2 knee reconstructions and a few injuries. So to have the maturity and resilience to be able to do that at that age and fight back into the NRL, I think he's got all the attributes to be a really good Origin player, Woodsy. So I'm excited to see what he's going to bring.
And last week you and Woodsy had a little bit of I wouldn't call it a tiff. I would say that you didn't pick Val Holmes, and he's been named. Thoughts?
Yeah, look, I think I said last week that if they did pick Val, I'm happy either way, mate. He's invaluable with his goal kicking. I guess that's the other thing that Val brings, and I like him on the wing. Ash, what he does bring is he brings a really good carry coming out of our end, and when you play Origin and as an outside back, the majority of your work is taking those really tough carries out of your 20 and 30 metre line. And that's one thing Val does do. He brings the ball back with some venom. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that he's been picked. I like him on the wing. And as I said, the other thing that he does bring is his goal kicking, which at Origin, again, when you're going up in sixes and not fours, it's pretty critical.
And obviously first try scorer back in. We're back in there, so I'm feeling pretty confident on that one.
Some good odds there, mate. Some good odds. On the other scale, right, so we've got Rob Toia making his debut. There's a lot of conjecture about Cherry Evans. Will he be in the side? Tom Dearden is the 14, but will he be the starting 7? Geez, it must be a big relief when you got someone like Billy Slater wants to have breakfast with you, tells you that you're going to be in the squad. Do you reckon that's going to make a huge difference for Cherry Evans going into this series, Tatey?
Yeah, I do, Woodsy. I think we all, as people, want to be loved and know that we want to be wanted. So I think the fact that Billy's been catching up with Ches, reassuring him that he's a skipper, he's going to be in the team. I reckon that would just calm your nerves down, calm the way you're feeling. And when you're going into camp, you want to repay that favour. So, mate, I love how Billy goes about the way he coaches the team, the way he talks to his players, and the way he backs them publicly. And look, there was never really any doubt that Ches wasn't going to be in the side. No doubt in a couple of years' time, or after this year, if he decides to retire, Tommy's going to be that man in the number 7 jersey. And it's a really good segue for him to sort of take that role, being the 14, when his time comes. So I guess one thing that sort of worries me a little bit about the Queensland side is we've got some guys in there that haven't been at their best. But what this environment does do is it gets them away from the grind of club footy. You go to an environment that you really love, you respect, and you want to be a part of, and it can be a good thing. It can kick you back into gear with your form. So no doubt the KPs, the Daily Cherry Evans, they'll be at their best, Wednesday week when game time's on.
Well, hopefully KP's gotten out of Newcastle with all the flood and storms. He wasn't in training yesterday, but he's due to fly in today. I do want to talk about the halves partnership that they've now named for New South Wales. No Luai, but you've obviously got Mitchell and Moses in the halves, both typically right side players. And Loz has come out and said they could pop up anywhere on the field. From the Queensland team that you have named, or not you've named, Billy's named, how do you see them sort of dealing with that?
Yeah, look, I don't think it'll really matter where they play. I do think it's a real watch out for Queensland, because I do think if these two guys combine well, they're both really high quality players and their kicking games are none better. So it's going to be a big job for the Queensland back five to be able to negate both their kicking games. And as I said, if they can find a way to combine and do it well and not get in each other's way, I think it can be a really good combination for New South Wales. So I like the fact that they've picked Cleary and Moses. I like it. I think it's going to be a real big piece of Queensland's game plan is trying to put pressure on those guys and limit the time that they've got and pressuring their kicking game, because, as I said, there's none better. So, yeah, I reckon it's a real danger for Queensland, those two.
There were reports before the team list was released that a certain Catewell was spotted flying back to Auckland. How do you feel about him not making the team?
Kurt Catewell?
Mm.
Yeah, look, mate, I think what they've done is it's a real changing of the guard for Queensland, and I don't think it's a bad thing, mate. I think, one thing I know and over my time playing for Queensland is when you've got guys that come into camp, debutants, what it does is it reinvigorates the camp, the culture, the feeling you've got. Like it adds the element of excitement. So I love there's 3 guys that are, going to debut for Queensland and become, fog whatever number they're up to these days, because it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful family to be a part of, and it adds to the camp. So it's a real changing of the guard for Queensland, but I like it.
And Tate, we know it's a 3-game series. How big is it to get off to a winning start to lead the series 1-0?
Well, Woodsy, mate, that first game is the most important out of them all, really, at the end of the day. I mean, you just want to start the series well. You get that first win, especially when you're in Queensland as a Queenslander. It is a huge advantage, and you need to take it. You need to make the most of that. But one thing I do know, when you're playing State of Origin for Queensland at Suncorp, you have to start well and you have to get the crowd into it, because if you don't, it can be an awful place to play when you're not going well. So, yeah, mate, game one's critical. As you know, it just gives you that bit of a buffer going into the next two games. It's going to be a big one for Queensland, but we are the underdogs, and they're talking about us being Fatty's 95 side when we had all these injuries and everything was against us, and geez, it just seems to be happening that way again, I reckon.
Billy squashed that chat in a presser this morning. He didn't want to even talk about when Fatty was there. So much has changed. The game's changed. Blah blah blah. Underdogs. Boring.
They love the underdog tag, these blokes, mate. All right. One of my favourite parts of the camp, Tate, after you do all your media commitments, the bonding night. I heard up at Queensland, up north, it's called Alf's World, mate. Have you got any, or how would you say, PG-related stories that you could probably tell on the potty?
No, I've got one that I do remember vividly. It was in 2006, and Alf's World was in full swing, and we were all having a great time. Alfie got everyone pretty well intoxicated. He even got the Queensland doctor so intoxicated he passed out. One of the players fell over on the bar, split his eye from here to about here. And everyone was like, where's the doc? Where's the doc? Go get the doc. And he was passed out on the couch because Alf had filled him full of red wine. So we literally had put water on the dock, wake him up, and he went and stitched the player up. And I'll never forget the next morning. That player, mate, he looked a lot worse for wear. It was one of the worst stitching jobs I've ever seen. But good old Alfie. One thing Alfie does is when you're in Alf's World, it's someone's birthday. So if you're just sitting there minding your own business, Alf will start singing happy birthday, and then you've got a skulls and book of shots, and yeah. It's fun at the time, but mate, the next morning you just want to delete the whole night out of your memory, because it's good fun, but the next day's tough carry.
Ooh, I bet. Let's just on stitches. The most handsome man, was the most handsome man in Brisbane. Pat Carrigan, 30 stitches. Are we concerned about that game?
At least he had a plastic surgeon and not a
drunk surgeon.
Yeah. Look, he is a beautiful man, Paddy. But I'm sure he'll only add to his rugged, handsome looks that he possesses already. So, but 30 stitches is a fair cut. That's a fair old split.
Hey, Billy Slater, you've obviously played with him and played against him along the way, but now in the coaching capacity, it's like he's turned into like a Buddha. And so everything he says is quite spiritual around being Queensland. I think one of his new ones this camp is, this is Queensland's true team. Everyone has their NRL team, but this team you don't necessarily pick. It picks you.
Oh, my God.
And it's always just so whimsical and Buddhism. And what do you make of his swing from player to coach?
No, I love it. I love it.
Of course he does.
Stick solid to Queenslanders.
Guys, come on, look. As like Billy says, it chooses you, and I must admit I have to agree with Bill on this one. It certainly does.
Have you had any clangers during your time with him in terms of things that he might have said where you're just like, wow?
No, I haven't. I do remember when Cooper Cronk had every sinew in his body. Remember that when the field goal?
He had he had his own bio page too. Like he used to do blogs and stuff.
He did. I'll never forget that one from Coops. But no. Look, one thing I do know about Bill is he is a very passionate Queenslander, and the culture that he creates is very much like what Mal did when he took over in 2006. So. He does make you realise how important it is to wear the jersey and what it means to the Queensland people, because, like you guys, it does mean a lot to them. You only got to walk around the place here in Townsville or Brisbane or anywhere in Queensland, and everyone is talking about the Queensland side at the moment. So it does mean a lot to the people, and Billy makes the players really aware that there's a huge responsibility when you chuck that maroon jersey on.
Yeah, well, the week's a long week in rugby league, and we're going to be chatting to you on Monday, but leading into the actual Origin saga. But let's just quickly cap off some of the news coming from the Queensland teams at the moment as well too. Broncos first. It just seems like they can't stay out of the headlines at the moment. There was another drama during the week. Marty Tapau has been cut from the side effective immediately after liking a post, bagging his coach, then retracting it and apologised. What do you make of the situation that just keeps exploding and obviously it imploded for them on the weekend?
Yeah, look, I do think they'll have to hit rock bottom before things start to turn around there. I don't know. Look, it's just my gut feel. I do think there's probably a little way to go before they start to understand what Madge wants, what he needs, and what he expects as a playing group. I think we said last week it's probably time the players start looking at themselves and understanding that changes might have to come within the group. So I do think there's a little bit more pain to come for Brisbane, but once the tide starts to turn and they get it right, they're going to be a hell of a club because they've got some great players. They've got some good young kids coming through. I mean, they own all the juniors in Queensland pretty much. So there's a lot to like about the club, but I do think there's a little bit more pain before we see the ship turn around.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with you, Tatey. One other one with your old club, the Cowboys. We were excited to watch young Purdue, play his first game at 5'8". Probably wasn't the night he wanted. Do you reckon Todd Payton sticks with him, doesn't bring Clifford back and just leaves Purdue at 5'8"?
Woodsy, he's said this week that he's going to stick with him. He's the future of the club, and that's what he wants moving forward. And, mate, it's always going to take a little bit of time for him to find his feet. Again, he is a young kid, and he's playing in a position where he has to start bossing people around and organising the team around him. So, yeah, it's going to take some time, but I think he is one of those players worth putting the time and investment in and letting him settle in and give him, I guess, that time and freedom to feel his way out playing that position in first grade. So, yeah, their attack was a little bit clunky on the weekend. It looked like a new halves pairing, but, Toddy's come out and said he's the future of the club and that's where he's going to be. So, mate, he'll be right. It's just going to take a bit of time. He's a class act. He's a classy kid. And, he's played that position all through his juniors. It's just going to take a bit of time.
Just on that game, congratulations to Manly, obviously. Sorry to rub that in. But where like you mentioned it was clunky in attack. Is there anywhere else you think that they might have gone wrong there?
Mate, Manly were pretty good, actually. I thought Olakawatu, mate, he's a beast of a player. I'm surprised he's not in that New South Wales side. He is a big, physical human being. And, I was really impressed with how he took the game on against the Cowboys. But, yeah, look, I think that performance from the Cows has probably been coming for a couple of weeks. They played the Warriors in Magic round, let a huge lead go. They nearly come back and won. They had a draw against Panthers, which, again, they weren't great for big parts of that game and lucky to get out a draw. So, maybe it's one of those performances that has been coming for a couple of weeks and, they didn't play well at all, mate. But they got a week off now and, their guys go to Origin. So it's probably a good time to get a break.
Yeah, well, we'll catch up a little bit more on some of the Queensland action, as I mentioned, on Monday. We'll grab you before the big game and I'm sure there's some more heckling and banter before then. Thanks so much, Tatey.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Go the Queenslanders.
Stop it. Thanks, Tatey.
See you, mate.
Well, our next guest is one and only J Moz the Great from New South Wales. It was about time we balanced it up and got another New South Wales player on to join. Woodsy, welcome, legend.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
You've got a great little room in the background, some decent jerseys on the back wall.
Yes, I just gave you a little tour then, and you're more than welcome to come anytime.
Well, we might have to shoot the potty from there in future.
Trust me, it's not good. You get locked down.
Sort something out of the off season, but yes, this is the man cave. It got taken over by the wife during COVID and was her office, but now it's back to the man cave.
Back to the OG.
It's a great spot. I've spent plenty of times there. And J-Moz doesn't like people leaving either.
No, he doesn't. I've been on a drink with him before and you definitely don't get a chance to leave.
Love that.
Can drink the J-Moz. Mate, Jay, obviously the Blue Squad's been announced. What's your thoughts on it, mate? Any surprises there for you?
No, mate, I love it. I love the side. Obviously, Jake obviously missing out. He had the concussion to rule him out. But from all reports, I don't think he was going to be selected anyway. I think Isaiah Yeo got the call during the week to be told that he was going to be captain of the Blues. So I'd imagine that meant that Jake already knew that he wasn't going to be selected. So that's the only thing that I thought was a bit strange. But Isaiah Yeo was a wonderful captain for Penrith, and the side pretty much I thought it was there. Max King, the obvious surprise there. They went with him, and Stefano's obviously in the extended bench there. So I love the look of the side. I can't wait for next Wednesday. Can't wait for it.
What do you make of that? I mean, Loz is back in charge after a couple of years away from it. You obviously played under him for a long time in that rep jersey. What do you think he's going to bring differently to this side coming back? Fresh face. He's been away from, I guess, the NRL game for a little bit longer too.
Yeah, look, I think Loz has unfinished business in the Origin arena. Obviously, when he was coach, we did get that series win, broke the drought, but he coached against a Queensland side stacked with the future immortals, Hall of Famers, and most of those series, whilst we're under him, we lost by a field goal or a goal, but it doesn't say that on the shield, does it? It says Queensland won. So I still think he has unfinished business. He's got a group of young men there, and he wants to put obviously his spin on Origin. Madge did a wonderful job last year, the way he was able to get those players connected. So, and they've kept pretty much the same nucleus coaching staff. They're going up to the Blue Mountains again. But one thing about Laurie was he dominated the Origin arena. He knew what it took, and he will pass that on to his players to get them ready. I've got no doubt by the time Wednesday rolls around, he'll have them ready to go. And he knows what it takes to win up at Suncorp as well. Game one, we had to win in 2014 up at Suncorp to go on and win the series. So he knows exactly what it's about, and he'll have the boys ready to go.
You recognise that one, J-Moz? That was from the year you guys won?
Yeah. Actually, I had to do something. Well, Gal took me jumper. Myself and him gave our jumper to for the current team to look at, and they're going to show some clips of that during the week in the build up as well. So yes, fond memories there. It's actually weird because for that year they did people's names on the front of your jersey on that VB sign. So I've got some weird name on the front of my jersey, and it's sitting in one of my other rooms, and I think his name's Hans Church or something like that. My daughter always asks, "Who's Hans?" I'm like, I don't know.
So you reckon they're going to hang it up this week and just all stand around it and chant New South Wales? Is that what you think's going to happen, or?
Oh, I think they're just trying to draw a little bit of inspiration. Obviously, in that game one, 2014, that was when Brett broke his shoulder and carried on and continued to play, and then made the match-winning tackle over in the corner.
Mate,
with
you're
that
underselling
shot
yourself.
I hurt my knee as well. And
what about your knee, mate, when you come out of nowhere and tackled Greg Inglis, brother?
On the sidelines with Lizzie Steed.
Well, that was the only reason I got up, because Brett had a broken shoulder. I didn't want to let him down. But I think, Woodsy, you'll attest to this too. I think if anyone in that side was in the same position, they would have done the same thing. That was what our side was like in that 2014 game. We had them catch, cry, do whatever it takes. And in that particular game, Brett hurt his shoulder. I hurt my knee. Chucky Watmow ruptured his bicep and kept on playing, and Bo Scott collapsed of exhaustion after the match. So there were plenty of heroic efforts in that game, and that's what Origin took. That's what it took for us to beat that champion Queensland side.
Yeah, so hopefully they do draw a lot of inspiration off the back of that. Now, there was a lot of talk before the teams were named. Who's going to be the fullback? Obviously, Edwards got the call up. Are you happy with that choice? Or, I mean, Teddy's in good form.
Oh, Teddy's in great form. He could consider himself unlucky, but what you got to do is you've got to give the incumbents, the first chance. Luai extremely unlucky to miss out. I guess he wouldn't mind giving up his jumper to his, one of his best mates who he won 4 comps with in Nathan Cleary. So, but yeah, you've got to give the incumbents the first crack there. And I don't remember a time New South Wales has had so much depth.
Yeah.
It's gotten to Origin sometimes where like there's been no depth whatsoever, and we've had to pick and pick someone that we probably wouldn't have, or just pick the next available. Like right now, New South Wales is probably in the best position they've ever been, and you only have to look at the back row. Like Olakalatu missing out, and there's a number of back rowers there. Like Hudson Young, he's been probably the form back rower of the competition, and he's on the bench. So like that's what we're dealing with at the moment. And it's only good for New South Wales.
And Moz, you mentioned Luai. Like, it's a tough one on him because he won a series decider at Suncorp. Like, it hasn't been done since 2005. There's a lot of talk about this combination of Moses Cleary. They're both halfbacks. They both dominate, the possession of the ball. Do you think it's going to work with these two, dominant halves out there together?
I think it will. I think Nathan will be the shot caller. I think that'll allow Mitch to just pop up when he wants to, and it's similar to how Dylan Brown plays at the Eels. He'll just call the ball whenever he sees something and run. And Mitchell, his running game is one of his best assets, and you saw that last year. He took him on and scored the match-winning try. So, if anything, I think it makes him more dangerous because he doesn't have that burden of having to control the side. He just gets the ball whenever he wants it, and to go with that, they've got the two best. I think they're the two best kickers, Cherry Evans, Adam Reynolds as well.
Yeah.
But I think they're the two best long kickers in the game, and that's only going to help New South Wales if they could try and get that ball bouncing on the deck. You know how much gold it is when that ball bounces on the ground, and they have to take their time to pick it up, and New South Wales will be trying to exploit that as much as they can with those two halves.
What do you make of the call on Terrell May? Woodsy made the call saying that he wasn't going to be named in the New South Wales squad, and the comments under that post were just hammering Woodsy for making that call. I think he made the call that he wasn't fast enough out of the ruck to have that speed at Origin. Would you agree with that? Do you think he should be there, or?
Well, look, he's playing well in the Tigers side, but it's one hot day doesn't make a summer. You've got to perform, and you've got to keep doing that. So if he's performing the same way this time next year, well, then he certainly comes into consideration. Yes, he has been fantastic, but I think Laurie's seen something, a deficiency in his game somewhere, which has made him want to choose someone else. And I'm not going to doubt Laurie's judgment. I think the side he's picked is great. If Terrell May was in the side, I'd get right behind him as well. But I think there's obviously something that Laurie's seen that just led him to go to another way.
Jay, we talk about camps. They're going to, I think, is it the Blue Mountains?
Yeah.
This one, we spent a lot of time up at Coffs Harbour, brother, and I say a lot of time. Is there things that you miss about being in those camps? Like when you see these blokes get the opportunities to be hanging out with each other now?
Mate, I think that's the only thing you miss, isn't it? After footy, you don't miss playing. You don't miss being sore. You miss the locker room. You miss the G-ups. I had the opportunity to go and coach a session with the City Country under 16s and 18s, and Grubb was there, and Josh Jackson was there, and Wade Graham, and just G'ing up each other. You just miss that kind of stuff. And one thing I do remember about those trips is you and Big Clem just always on your own, just scheming, just trying to come up with something to get someone. No one else was allowed the keys to one of the minibuses because it was either in your room or his room. And no, but I look back at those times as they're the best times of your life. You're playing State of Origin, something that you love and that you dreamt of as a kid, and you're surrounded by 16 of the best New South Welshmen going around, and you bunker in for 9 or 10 days, and then you go out and get to perform. And when you win an Origin series or you win an Origin game, there's no better feeling.
There might have been an argument over who got the keys to the minivan, but you controlled the aux cord for majority of that camp. I'm pretty sure there's a song
Yeah, I
called
was in charge of
Waves.
the music. I wouldn't let Woodsy in charge of the music or Claire.
Nah. There's a song that every time it
Let me
comes
listen
on,
to
I'm
some
instantly
weird stuff.
transported back to Origin camp. It's like Waves on the Ocean or something.
I have no idea.
Oh,
Jay's
if I-
the music man.
I know.
We
if
weren't
I
allowed to touch
played
it.
it instantly just takes me back to camp. I think it was funny. The boys were getting interviewed in Origin camp this week, and they were talking about Campbell Gillard and calling him the serial killer of the squad. But you guys had one of your own in your side in Bo Scott, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bo Scott. Yeah, Ivan.
Where'd that come from?
Have a
I
look at him.
don't know who started calling him it, honestly, but
I thought it was Chalky Watmow, wasn't
yeah,
it?
like he was had a very dry sense of humor, and he was one of those blokes that was annoying too. Like he would come up and just like pinch you on the back of your bicep, and like he'd just do it soft, but he was that strong. It used to like leave bruises. You'd have bruises all over you, but you'd rather him in your side than not in your side because you knew he was going to go out there and he was going to protect his half, whoever it was. I mean, he made a career of that. He made Sowie's tackles for what 5 or 10 years at the Dragons, and then he transferred that to Origin as I spoke about. He in that 2014 game got into the sheds after full time and collapsed. Like he just didn't stop. He was one of those blokes when you looked over in your side, you were glad that he was in your side and he had a Blues jumper on because you knew he wasn't going to let you down. And he was a psycho.
Psycho's an understatement. He used to pick on us young blokes too. One thing, Jay, with these series now, there's always obviously one game Queensland, one game New South Wales, and then I'll take one either to Adelaide or Perth. Look, we probably had that once or twice while we played, and you played in a fair few series. What do you think of that? What's your take on always moving that one middle game of the series to a different state?
Oh, I hate it. I hate it. I know the game. Obviously, they're trying to promote it and take it, nationally to different states. But when you had two Origins in Sydney, it was the best. You're going to pack out it. You're going to get 80,000 there to a core stadium, and 70,000 of them are going to be Blues fans. Like that is a massive advantage. And then on the other end, you have to go up and try and win twice at Suncorp, which was a massive thing to do. And in 2014, as I spoke about, we won game one in Origin, then went back to Sydney, wrapped up the Shield, and then tried to do the three-peat at Suncorp, but they were too good that night, and they gave us a flogging because they knew what it was like, and they didn't want to let down their fans up in Suncorp. So if we played it at a different stadium somewhere else, it may have meant a bit less to them, but because they were at Suncorp, they weren't going to lose that game.
I think it didn't help that we were half intoxicated after that camp, Jay.
Yeah, you're right, mate. I think there was a lot of celebrating going on, and then after that, the next series we didn't do that.
It was the VBs on the middle of the oval at midnight. It's the only time I've said VB tastes good.
Yes.
Moving on for Origin, because we're going to be getting you on at a later date to talk all things about your career. But the Bulldogs is a side that we can't sort of go past at the moment. They've just been exceptional all year. They've found their feet. They are going to get a little bit hard done by with Kurt Mann named in the 19th man, so he won't be with them this weekend. But are you loving what you're seeing down there?
Oh, absolutely love it. I've got the kids their doggies jumpers. I've drawn a line in the sand. They're supporting the doggies now. They've had a couple of other jumpers, obviously the Sharkies and the Roosters, but no, I absolutely love what they're doing, and I guess the last 2 weeks they've shown that they can come back from any margin to win, and I think they did it without 5 of their regular starters last week as well. So I think this period is going to be really challenging for them. Obviously, they've got their rep stars out, but I just love the way that they're playing. They don't beat themselves anymore. They don't rely on one player as well. I think you've seen that throughout the year when Burton and Kickow were out. Bailey Hayward stepped up, and he's a wonderful young kid. And then they just bring in someone that does the job, and I think the real turning point for them was probably last year. They got a win against Cronulla, who were sitting right up in the top four, and it was their first time they'd beaten someone in the top four for a few years, and you could see what it meant to the players. And I think from that point on, I think that the belief started building. They've obviously had a really tough preseason again under Ciro, and they've come out firing. And whilst they might struggle during this Origin period, once they get their stars back, they'll build big into the finals there. And how good is it seeing 30,000 there, like for that game, and then Good Friday they had 60 or 70,000. Like when
Crazy.
the Bulldogs are playing well, the league is going well because that is what they can bring. They bring those fans, and the fans haven't had much to cheer about for probably 4 or 5 years, but they're right behind their side this year, and I'm in their corner as well.
Yeah, I was listening to you on the call on Friday night, and you can just hear the excitement in your voice. How special is it for you to be able to sit sideline and watch them do their thing?
Oh, I love it. Well, like being sideline, like sometimes I watch the game and go, how did I do this for 15 years? I'm a freaking idiot. Like just the contacts and that, and just how differently wired we were to play for that long. But you watch what the Bulldogs do, and I got to sit there and watch sideline Luke Smith. He was making his debut, and mate, he would have ran about 4K up and down that sideline before he even got on. Like I'm like, is he going on? He's going on. I was just excited for him, but to watch that game and probably seeing one of the greatest tries, individual tries, that was right in front of me with big Marky Mark doing the chip and chase on one leg. Like our players these days, that they're athletes. The game is so fast, but the Bulldogs boys, as I said, they're they don't rely on one player anymore. They are a dead set team of champions. So I love watching them play.
J Moz, before you go, can you give me a stiff and streaky? So you just need to name one player from New South Wales or Queensland who was stiff to miss the team, and one who was lucky in a single sentence, and why?
So stiff, I would probably look at James Tedesco. I mean, he's played unbelievable. Like he's playing some of his best football, but obviously Dylan gets nod there. So you Roosters fans would love to see him back in that that Blues jersey. And
I reckon Balters.
Bolter. Let's go with Bolter.
Well, Bolters, you've got to say Max King, because I don't think he was on too many people's radar. But at the same time, he's been outstanding for the Dogs for the last 2 or 3 years, but he's never really come out in any conversation. And I think when people saw his name, and they were like surprised, but I think he deserves his spot. And so I'd say Max King there, and James Tedesco to miss out, but the team's picked, and I'm right behind him.
Well, we love listening to you now on the sidelines after 325 first grade games yourself, and I think it was 158 tries. You've got the best eye on the field. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Good luck on your call with 2GB this weekend. If you want to hear the J-Moz, the beautiful delights, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, guys, and I'll be in to do a podcast with you guys at some stage.
We can't wait.
Can't wait for that one, Jay. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, man.
One thing I do want to mention and bring up, because he brought up Max King being probably the bolter in that side. His journey from rugby league was pretty amazing. He spent almost 2 years out of the game with a snapped Achilles, which is brutal. It sounds like a shotgun going off when there's...
You know they couldn't get that right down in Melbourne.
Really?
So he was up there training back at Newcastle. I think he's from up those ways. And Gus Gould just got a call, and he said, we'll get him down, we'll rehab it. If we can get it right, we'll offer him a contract if it comes good. And, mate, something had happened in that period of time from when he was, no rugby league contract, and then he comes out at the Bulldogs, and he's been one of the most consistent performers for that. I think he's been there for 3 years now, or 4 maybe. And to see his progression under Cameron Serrato, wow, like he's earned that spot and he deserves it for New South Wales. So congratulations to the man.
Yeah, they talk about resilience.
He must have had it on his vision board, that's for sure. Far out. That's a huge journey. And people don't know that. Because even Jay wants to say, it wasn't on a lot of people's lists. And it's kind of like now it's coming out. Now we're going to get to see the whole story and it play out and it be part of the origin journey. And
Well, he thought
the
he was
build-up.
done.
I'm getting goosebumps. thinking
Yeah,
about
I
it.
know. Imagine thinking you're done, sitting there going, I don't have a contract at the end of the year this year. He said he was basically playing like Reggie's to sort of get his match fitness. He was week to week, and next minute you've got a New South Wales
But also,
jersey on you.
the knock on the Bulldogs, middle forwards, to show you how much like resilience, not just on his body, but on his mental state as well. Because they used to cop it week in, week out. Now everyone thinks they can win the competition, and he's playing for New South Wales. So that's a remarkable turnaround.
Yeah, and then obviously the debutant for Queensland, 10 games into a Queensland jersey.
You know, that's a sign of panic stations.
Do you think panic stations? Or as Tate said, he only played 14 NRL games before he got named in Origin.
I think there's two outcomes: panic station or stroke of genius. And we'll find that out.
Like Alfie
agree.
Langer playing and calling back from the UK, stroke of genius.
Oh no,
or-
no, that's different. He's got history, but this is. I think next time we talk about it, it'll be after the game, I would say, and we'll know. And look, I honestly 10 games. I hope he goes out and has a great game and he gets picked again for sure. But yeah, I think stroke of genius or
What a challenge. He's going up against Latrell Mitchell,
oh god.
who's got that little
I take all that
shine
back.
in his eyes.
Yeah, that little twinkle. That and that, like, as a team having to concentrate, one, Mitchell's a player you're going to want to shut down. But then also, as Tate mentioned, that halves partnership from New South Wales, who are going to be a surprise packet. We know they play predominantly right side. They're both right side kickers. But Laurie's come out and said they might pop up anywhere. Like, he was very close guarded with his ruling, but he basically said, be prepared for surprises.
Here's one for you, Woodsy, really quick.
Yeah, mate.
With that duo, if it doesn't go to plan, they lose. It's not a great game, not a great showing. Do they bring Luai back in and Moses?
It's a great Luai and Moses and Chop.
No. Sorry, in place of Moses.
Well, it just depends on how they play. If there's complete chaos within the spine of the halves and they're not linking up well and you can just tell they're out of sync, there's going to be that question mark. Me personally, I stick with those two for the 3 games.
Yeah.
Loz is a stick and pick, isn't he?
He is one of those
Pick and stick,
guys.
I should say.
But yeah, you've got to feel. I feel sorry for Luai
Yeah.
because winning the cider up at Suncorp, like
And
that hasn't
Teddy.
been, mate. And Teddy didn't play. He only
Well,
played
yeah, but-
game 1, but you got to give Edwards that opportunity.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was part of a winning series, and he broke that tackle to open the game up, which set Bradman Bester in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So he's hard done by, but in saying that, you've got a once in a generation player in Nathan Cleary coming back.
Yeah, it's
Very
hard to
hard.
leave. It's hard to leave him out. Isn't
Very
it?
hard.
Yeah. Well, I think we've talked enough Origin considering we've still got a whole nother week. We'll be filming our show early before the game on Wednesday night. So let's crack into Ash's game review of the weekend because there was still other football at play.
There was other
There was
football.
other football at play.
There are other.
Was there?
Yeah, just. I think we can't go past Marky Mark.
Oh wow!
Are you serious? I'm sitting there and I'm like, I think I was having a sip of beer and it happened and I spat it across the lounge room.
Waste not, want not.
The athleticism on and the hand-eye coordinate is one we can all dream of having one day. Well, maybe not me because I'm a bit older and you're retired. You probably had similar hand-eye
In
coordinate.
my dreams.
But it was unbelievable, wasn't it? And it goes to show, we talk about athletes, these guys, like is this his first year?
Well, he's played a couple
Yeah,
games
there
last
was-
He did
year.
at the back of
after
the year.
Olympics, yeah.
That's right. Say first full season with the Roosters, and like every week he's just getting better and better and better, and like he's New South Welshman, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is a New South Welshman. Yeah.
To see that and go, hang on a minute, we've got this guy that maybe in the next year or so
Yeah.
will be in.
Is that depth coming again?
I
He's
know.
rugby league junior.
Was he?
Yeah, he's a rugby
And
league
then went to
junior,
Union.
Then converted across. Yeah,
Private school boy?
Yeah, I think so, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Regardless, anyone that does that up against the sideline and gets a 4-pointer out of
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it
I
was,
remember
it was a
watching-
one-legged hop.
But remember watching it live, I was sort of like, oh, yeah, this is going to get called back. And then when you watch the replay, you go, oh, this is actually a try.
I know. I was like, holy! And look, he made a couple of errors in that game, and they didn't win. But that trumped the whole any error he could have made.
That was crazy.
He would have been really good at hopscotch.
Would have.
In school.
He would have been the kid at school.
100%. King of the
Yeah.
kids.
Great calf muscles, too.
Great calves. Like he's got dad calves.
Right.
He's not a dad.
Oh,
What's
mate.
going on there?
Shocking.
Now, sport. The highs are high, but the lows are really low. And bit of a trigger warning for anyone who want to talk about the AFL player Selwood, who unfortunately took his life. And look, it's a low for me because we've got to sort of get to this point for us to all to be talking about it.
Yep.
You had Gussie on the show on Triple M earlier this week. I ran into Gussie, and I just want to say, like, if you're not coping, talk to your mates, and if you've got a mate who's looks like he's struggling, lend him an ear. Not a solution, just an ear.
Yeah.
I've been through a situation, not as bad, but when you hold everything in and you suck it, like you put everything on yourself, it just festers and it builds up to a point where you just have a breaking point. Just speak to someone.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's your best mate, it's your partner, and if you feel like you can't talk to them, go speak to a specialist or a professional in that industry. It's just one conversation away from making it a little bit better.
Yeah, you can, one conversation away from changing your life too as well. Like for me, I see a therapist every fortnight.
Yeah.
I saw her this morning, and it needs to be spoken about a lot, and hopefully we can put Lifeline across here.
Yep.
Make the call, have a chat to your mate, or if you see your mate struggling, just listen to make a really, really, really big difference.
Absolutely.
So that was my low, and look, I'm to the AFL community and everyone that's involved.
Sincere condolences.
Yeah, 100%.
One of the greatest things you can ever do is reach out, speak out, and listen as well. So I know I'm grateful for it. I wouldn't have been
What's
here
that
if
saying?
I
It
hadn't
ain't
done
weak.
It ain't weak to
to
speak.
speak.
That's
No
it.
way.
That's one of the
Living
great
guys as
sayings.
well too.
Yeah.
So it is a big high. As I said, we'll put the number down the screen. If you know of anyone that's struggling or you are struggling, please reach out. It'll be one of the best conversations you'll ever have in your life. And as you said, sport comes with the highs, it comes with the lows, as do all moments in life as well too. But we are here to have a chat and to start those conversations.
Sure.
So thank you so much for sharing that with us as well too, Ash.
No worries.
Let's jump into the week coming up as well too, because there are still some pretty great games coming up on the footy field. It is a smaller round, so one game on Thursday, one game Friday, 2 Saturday and 1 Sunday.
That makes me sad. There's only 2 games.
I know.
And that's the one thing for me in Origin that I'm like, damn.
They should play the knock-on effect cup games, the reserve grade.
Oh yeah.
Put 'em on
Yeah.
TV.
That's
Give the
not
boys
a
some
bad
exposure.
shout.
that.
Just give us something.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll speak to the powers at Bay and get it
Yes.
happening, because
All
the
right.
Broncos, Dragons, Storm, Cowboys, Souths, Titans and Tigers are all on the bye. We kick off on Thursday night, Bulldogs and Dolphins. Bulldogs are getting a little bit hard done by with their side. They've got a 19th man in the Queensland side, which means he can't come back and play for the club.
That's part of rugby league.
Yeah.
They've had a pretty good draw to start the season that other teams don't have, but I'm going to go with the Bulldogs because they're on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to have contingencies for this time of the year. I think that's probably one big headache for
Well,
coaches.
this is where it gets evened up, right? Like, because you
Yes.
start going, cool, you're dominating. We know what's going to happen at Origin.
And that's why
time.
we always say that the comp doesn't start till after Origin. If,
Yeah.
if your gun players get out of Origin scotch-free, then it's a big back end of the season. So, yeah. It's one
I'm
of
going
those
the Dogs
things.
too. I'm backing you, Woodsy.
Stick
Ooh,
with
nice.
Dogs.
I'm going the Dogs.
I like it. Friday night, we've got Para versus Manly. We'll pivot back to that one because that's going to be one of your stat mates. And would you back it? Saturday, we then kick off with Penrith versus the Knights.
Newcastle cannot score, and Kalen Ponga is not there. They should be in the minuses of this game, I reckon.
Or
Is that a fair
Harsh
is it?
words, but
it's
fair.
but is it a case of, and we've seen it happen before, where I think it was a few years ago, the junior Broncos came in or something and ended up dusting up.
Yeah, but
I'm gonna go with the Knights.
Oh, wow.
Yuck.
They're due.
You're an idiot, mate. That's what I'm going to say.
I know.
I'm gonna say,
Look,
mate.
I'll
Woodsy
cop
is
that.
like black and white today. I love
The
it. I'm here
Panthers.
for
The
it.
Panthers.
Roosters, Sharks, Woodsy, you've got that for your Woodsy Bucket, so we'll come back to that in a second. But Sunday, Warriors versus the Raiders. No Corey Horsburgh in the Queensland lineup, so he remains with the
Look at one.
Raiders.
One of my great mates, Lukey Metcalf, is leading the Dally M.
Oh, 30 points.
He's on fire.
is on
Metz is
fire.
having, you know what? He's just got that confidence now. Maybe they needed sort of Shawnee to not move on, but the boys have grown because they haven't got Shawnee there to fall back on. So to see what Harris DeVita and my man Metcalf are doing, I'm going to go with the Warriors with an upset in this game.
I'm going to go with you.
I don't like you following me. I don't like this.
Yeah, there's too much agreement.
You got me excited. You can't sell me the dream, and then when I ask for the dream, you're like, no.
Bro, I tried to sell you
I
the
don't
dream
like-
with the Panthers, and you just gave me nothing. You
No,
went to Newcastle.
because I think you made a solid point, but yeah. I'm just
Well, yeah, he
going
went
You need
against
points
you on
to
that
win,
one.
brother.
I want to see the upset. Yeah.
All right, nice and short. How'd you guys go with your bets on the weekend?
Well, actually, how'd you go with your bet on the weekend? More like it.
I can't remember what I did yesterday.
Well, we did bet.
I did put a message in a WhatsApp. What are our bets? And you just told me your 2 bets.
Well, what were you meant to remember all yours
Yeah,
as
I
well?
just forgot.
I forgot mine. I was driving home and I was like, "Oh God, the game starts in a minute."
Oh,
and then
mate.
I asked for mine and I got the pushback, and I was like, "I'm driving." But Renee made a bet, didn't she?
She did, yes. And I do say there was a little bit on the line with the
There
bets
was
too,
a bit on
wasn't
the
there?
line.
Yeah.
I think. I thought you would. Gonna whip out. Do you have it? I don't have it.
I don't have it.
I think
the
producer
beautiful
Nick has
producers
I think
here
our
have it.
beautiful producer. Let's see
Here
if
we
can get it.
go.
Oh, here he
Yes.
comes.
Oh, no.
He's got a pep in his step. That's
It's
for
okay.
sure.
It's okay. We will go through some stuff
Yes.
first.
Absolutely.
before.
Let's go into, as I said, Ash, you've picked the Para versus Manly game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Thanks to StatMate, which I've got some stats here. Ruben Garrick scored 4 tries in his last 5 matches at CommBank Stadium. Do you know I've never been to CommBank Stadium?
Really?
Oh, really?
I'm gonna
it's an
go.
insane stadium. to
Come on
put
Friday.
in.
I'm working out there on Friday night.
Can I
If you
come
want
with
to come
you?
up in
Come
the
with
box,
you?
mate,
You don't like me
come.
following you, but here I am. You know, you asked me to come with you. What's going
And then
on?
I'll take you down and meet Siebes after the game and tell Siebes to keep this bloke away from Manly at all times.
Great
I might go.
shout.
I might come dressed as the trainer.
Yes.
There we go. Now we're on
Do
it.
I'll do it.
So with that stat in mind, I'm going to go Manly 13 plus. I'm going to go Ruben to score any time. Also, Jason Saab has been on fire with tries this year. He nearly slipped over and bombed one the other night, but that's okay. Showmanship. I'm going to put him anytime try scorer. And Olakawatu is named in New South Wales, but he will play, I believe, for Manly.
Yes.
I've got him anytime as
Yeah, I like that.
well.
He did nothing for me last week.
You needed him to go over, didn't you?
Wow.
Yeah, he
Wow.
passed it. He
Wow.
passed it.
Oh, yes, that's
So
right.
I remember just screaming at the TV like
But he
I've
still
never
had 60 metres to run, mate.
And then
Yeah,
I-
he could have done it.
And
The
then I
big
sent you
He's a
he could have
Superman.
actually looked back because I sent you a screenshot of some smelling salts saying it's looming.
But he's also got Jason Saab on the outside who gets there in 3
Yeah,
strides.
but he had plenty of space. Imagine the palm off he could have given.
I love seeing Saab in open space.
Yeah.
Looks beautiful.
I
Yep,
do.
yep, yep, yep.
He's only good in open
That's
space,
me.
though.
That's
I'm
me.
joking.
Excuse
I'm
me.
joking. All right. So you've gone Manly 13 plus, Saab anytime, Ruben anytime, Olakawatu anytime.
Correct. That's
Okay.
me.
All right. Let's move on to the Roosters and Sharks. Woodsy, this is your game.
This is my game. So, StatMate comes up with some great stats here. Carl, he scored a try in every game this season. So I'm going to go with him anytime try scorer. He's been outstanding. Mulatalo, he scored a try in all of his last 4 matches versus the Roosters. Look, love what Ronnie's doing at the moment, but just pipe down a little bit on the aggression, mate. Just remember you got to play footy first.
Nah, carry on.
And you're a winger. You don't make tackles. So just worry about what you got to do. Mark Nawanga Nitawasi has scored 5 tries in his past 3 matches. And we just spoke earlier about that try. That was unbelievable. So I'm going Cal Iro, Ronaldo Mulatalo, Mark, anytime try scorers, and Sharks head to head.
Okay.
That'd be
I like it.
that'd be a good
Because
game.
the Roosters are missing 5 players through Origin.
Yeah.
Sharks are missing none.
Yeah, okay.
None.
None of your
and
business.
Having Nico Hines out of Origin and not even mentioned in the discussion has been the best thing for the Cronulla Sharks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's the form he has found. He's getting back to Dally M. He's been outstanding.
Yeah, look, that I've said a couple of weeks ago they're getting better every week.
Yeah.
And I'm going to jump off the hate train.
And you're gonna have to. Can you look at the camera? Can you apologise to Nico Hines, please?
Well, should he be thanking me?
No.
Okay. Good call. Nico, I'm sorry. And I'm back. You've won me back over. You won me back.
He
I
has.
feel like the last 2 games, you've shown your true colours. You're back to form. I noticed your post on social media yesterday for the first time in a long time. Seems to have worked. And it's good to see you back.
He's
yeah,
on
he had the
fire,
break.
mate.
It's good to
He
see you
had the
back in
break.
form.
I love when players give uppercuts to people that.
Do you know what's really helpful too?
What
Is how good Trindle's playing.
Yeah. Oh, I reckon Nico's
Nico,
probably-
no, they've really support. I feel
Nico's
like
on top.
Why can't you just let him
Nico.
shine on his own?
no, but
Love paying receipts back, brother.
Trindle's been good all year,
I'm
and
gonna get
Nico,
mine for Terrell
and
May
it's-
later on in the year. Don't worry.
and it's been and Hines has been able to get start to get into form,
Just
find
stuttering.
form.
Now. It's okay, mate.
Okay,
It's
I'm sorry.
Go,
I'm
Nico.
sorry. I'm sorry. It's good to have you back.
We are wrapping up the episode. Do you want me to do this punishment?
Yeah, I do,
quickly?
actually.
And then-
And remember, it can't be a little tiny little sniff.
No, I know.
You need to go.
Do you want to do that? Do you want to close the show out first?
No.
I'll close it out.
I want to see the sniff, then close the show out.
Do you want me to close the show out?
No. We've all had to talk after it.
Okay.
Cop that.
Oh,
It's not as funny. It's not as funny when it happens to you, is it, Renee?
She's on the other foot, eh?
why does it only go up one nostril?
I told you that last week. You went up one nostril,
Oh my, jeez.
and you were like put it up two. I was like, I couldn't get up two with that one.
I know.
Holy.
Nah, I can smell it. It's right here.
I could smell it when I got handed it to me.
Yeah. There you go. So everybody, there you go.
That's it.
Yep. So thank you for joining us for round 12, a shorter round this week. We've had some amazing guests online. Thanks to the boys. Good luck with your bets this week. All thanks to points bet on Oz American Aces. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends.
Thank you.
I didn't know it was so sad to say goodbye.
She's like, gamble responsibly.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.